Hello, welcome to the Premier Training Team channel. I'm going to assume you are watching this particular video because either you are or have experienced some Windows performance issues. So in this video, I will show you how to troubleshoot and fix some of the common Windows performance issues. Um, I will introduce you to the task manager, system configuration utility, and then sort of wrap up with a troubleshooting example. With that being said, let's get started. So we'll start off by taking a look at the Windows Task Manager. So to access the Task Manager, you can access it in a few ways. You can either come to the search at the bottom of your operating system, and you can type Task Manager. You can access it basically directly from this search menu. Also, you can also access it by right-clicking on the taskbar at the bottom of your screen, and then selecting Task Manager. And again, now that'll bring up the Task Manager as well. So you can see there's a number of ways to access it. So once you click on Task Manager, it'll bring you to this screen here. And what we're going to focus on for this particular video is typically the processes and details tab. So this is typically where you go when you want to see if there's any application that's consuming a lot of your CPU or memory usage. So basically what you want to check for, again, is just see here in the list below, you can see these are a list of basically processes or application and some services that's currently running in the background on my system. So if I click on CPU, I can sort it by applications that's consuming a lot of my CPU. You can see I don't have much now. It's only 3% that's in use for CPU. But typically when your PC is performing a little sluggish, you will notice that there is an application that will be consuming possibly CPU. And in some cases, it may be memory as well that's being consumed. So again, you click on the CPU column, and it'll sort it for you by application that's using the CPU. The same applies for the memory as well. If you click on the memory tab, again, you can just sort your applications by applications that consuming the most memory. You can see in my case, I have this anti-malware service executable. This is basically Windows Defender, so there's no need to be alarmed, but you would just kind of look for applications that you're not familiar with or that kind of stand out to you on your system that's consuming a lot of CPU or memory usage. And if you do locate one, then it's just a matter of if you locate a process that's consuming a lot of your CPU, it's just a matter of right-clicking on that process, and you can actually end the task. Also, if you look at the Details tab, and again, it just gives you similar in a sense to the Processes tab, but it just gives you a little more information as far as the executable that's running in the background. So typically, if you go in, if I were to select this Microsoft OneDrive and say go to Details, you'll notice that it takes you to the Details tab, and it has the OneDrive executable that's currently highlighted. So again, it gives me the exact executable that's currently being launched. And if I wanted to, I can right-click on it, and I can either search online, and I can also open the file location, and that'll take me directly to the folder that this executable resides in. So again, this is just a good starting point when you're trying to track down which process or service that's consuming a lot of resources that's causing performance issues. So this is, again, a good starting point. So once we identify the application that's causing the performance issue, we typically just go in and select the application, and you right click on it, you see you have the end task option. And that's something we will kind of touch on when we wrap up this particular video course. So we just kind of walk through a scenario and show you exactly how that works. But it's something to keep in mind. Also, if you click on the details tab as well, the one that we just discussed, um, you would notice that the system idle process, if you look at the CPU column, is consuming like 96, 97, kind of fluctuates. But this is normal. This is expected behavior, so it's nothing that's not outside of the norm. So just want to make sure I kind of highlight that so you're not alarmed. So in our next video, we'll just go through and take a look at the system configuration utility. So we're going to now go through and take a look at the system configuration utility. So you can access the system configuration utility in a number of ways. You can go to the search and type in system configuration. You can see it pops up for me. You can select it here. And you can also access it by right-clicking on the start menu and clicking on run and typing in msconfig. And basically, what is the system configuration? So the system configuration, this is basically where you can go when you want to see a list of the services and applications that's configured to load on startup. So basically, every time your system reboots, there's basically applications, of course, that gets loaded when the system is starting up. So if we go here, you can actually see here. If we look at the services, you'll see a list of services that's configured. Some are stopped, some are running, but this just a full list of some of the services that start up, that load at startup. So you can see there's a complete list. Most of these are Microsoft services, so you typically wouldn't touch them. So basically, what I typically do is go in and say hide all Microsoft services. And then these are just basically maybe third party applications or services that's shown. So you can see I only have one that's not a Microsoft service. So typically what you want to do again is just kind of hide all the Microsoft services. That way you're not turning off a service that you actually need. So I'll uncheck that. And then the next item is where you would go is basically startup, right? So if you go click on your startup tab and then click on open task manager. And again, that's going to bring up the same task manager that we just covered. But we're looking at the startup tab now. So this is just a list of applications that's configured to run. So these are configured to run on startup. So you can see I have OneDrive, Edge, Microsoft Office, Skype. So a few applications that's configured to run on startup. So typically, again, if you wanted to stop an application, if you're not familiar with what an application is, or it just doesn't seem familiar to you, and again, you know it's safe to turn off, you can actually just select the application, right click on that application and say disable. So the next time that your computer starts, it will not load that particular application. Yeah. And again, that helps if you have an application that's consuming a lot of resources and you just do not want that application to start up every time. Okay, so let's try to bring this full circle now, and I'm just going to try to show you how you can use some of the tools, leverage some of the tools that we just discussed to troubleshoot and fix some performance issues. So basically, I'm just going to exit out of here and just kind of start from scratch, right? So the first thing I would typically do is, if my PC is performing a little sluggish, I would go in and right click and go to the task manager. I would basically look at all the applications that's running, just to see which one is at, like say, maybe consuming a lot of my CPU or my memory usage. Just for the sake of this example, I'm just going to act like this is an application I created just for testing purposes, just to kind of give you a demo, right? So let's just assume that this problematic app right here is consuming a lot of my resources. So typically what I would do is basically come in here, um, and I would just kind of expand that because I basically want to just take a look and see what the executable is. Um, so I would just click on this little caret here to kind of expand it. Um, then I would also go in and just maybe right click if I needed further details. Go to details, and you can see it tells me exactly what the executable is that's running. So what I would typically do is right click on it, and I would say open file location because I want to basically see where this application is that's consuming a lot of resources. And then I would just try to look at the properties of it, just to see if it'll give me who the vendor is, give me some detail about what the application is. Just want to see basically the product and the name, who the vendor is. Typically, if it's a Microsoft, it'll basically list the vendor somewhere in here. So I just want to see if it's a legit application or a process that's running on my system. In this case, like I said, it's just some unknown application that's running or some unknown process that's currently running on my system. It's called some problematic app.exe. So in this case, I don't know what it is. So what I would typically do, I would go in here and I would right click on it and say in the task. And again, you get a prompt to, are you sure you want to end the task? I'll say yes. I want to stop the process from running. So now the process is no longer running in the background. So now what I can do is go to the system configuration. So if I go to the startup, and if you look at the startup tab, you can see that there's some problematic app that's currently configured to run when my system reboots. So again, this is the same problematic app that we just reviewed, and I just stopped this task. So what I typically want to do next is I want to stop it from running the next time that this system starts up, that my system reboots. So I don't want it to launch this the next time my system reboots. So basically what I do is I right click on it and say disable. So now the application is no longer running or will not be started the next time that my system reboots. So I've stopped the application from running, and I also stopped it from running the next time that my system reboots. So that's typically what I would do if there's a problematic app on my system that's causing some performance issues. Also, again, if you don't know what the application is and you think it's safe to get rid of it, you can also do that as well if you do open file location. And you can also delete, if you're not familiar with the executable, then you can also delete the executable as well if you're sure it's safe to delete it. So again, this is just wanted to show you, give you somewhat of a real world example, so you can just see what my approach is when I'm troubleshooting these type of issues. So that concludes this video on fixing Windows performance issues. Hopefully this video was informative to you. Thank you for tuning in and checking out this video.